You actually made the pitch to your CEO at Semrush to leave your 35-person brand team to build a marketing and AI ops team.
There's consumer AI and those are chatbots, and you request something, it does tasks for you, but there's no material shift. This B2B AI, this is what replaces jobs and humans. It's better to build systems that anybody could use that is built on API, so it would be centralized. It all starts with this huge writing automation. So people would fill in the form, then it like searches this big database where we have knowledge base, blog articles, we have USBs, we have transcripts of calls, every wow moments about our product. Then it would produce the content, and the Slack bot would take that copy to that channel, and then someone will be editing the document, and then they would click finish, and only then the person would receive the documents.
What's up, everyone? Today we have the pleasure of sitting down with Olga Andrienko, former VP of Marketing Ops at Semrush. Olga spent the last 12 years at Semrush, and at the time of recording, she was building a new marketing and AI ops team, but she recently announced that she was leaving Semrush to go out on her own to build a marketing SaaS and advise others on how to build AI agents. In this episode, Olga shares agent examples she built at Semrush, including a huge content automation. She shares how to beat AI imposter syndrome and how to prioritize internal AI projects. We talk about AI's endgame and speculate about a future of play to earn and mandatory human quotas. But most importantly, Olga shares how to optimize your body like a Martech Stack. All that and a bunch more stuff after a super quick word from one of our awesome partners. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Knack. I have the amazing pleasure of chatting with some of the greatest minds in marketing operations, but you'd be shocked at how many of them have the same issues when it comes to their campaign creation process. They're dealing with things like scaling, personalization, keeping assets on brand, render testing emails, working in rigid templates, and worst of all, having to hand code emails. But many of the leaders in the space are using Knack to eliminate these headaches. Knack is a no-code email and landing page creation platform that covers initial campaign requests right until the sync to your marketing automation platform. Knack improves the whole campaign creation process by bringing the building, optimization, testing, collaboration, and also translation functions all in a single spot. So you don't have to jump around and coordinate feedback between a bunch of different people or wait on developers for very simple edits. Because at the end of the day, marketing ops folks want to focus on process and efficiency. Marketers want to focus on creativity, and Knack makes sure you get both and then some. Check them out at knack.com. That's KNAK, and tell them we sent you. Olga, thank you so much for your time today. Really excited to chat.
Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very excited.
Many folks that we chat with are in marketing ops, and a lot of folks outside of marketing ops are predicting that marketing, revenue, operations folks are really well positioned in this like transformation of roles with AI right now. Ops roles are already like heavily about finding ways to use AI and tools to automate and speed up internal tasks and increase the productivity of people inside the company and training them on it. You're so excited about marketing ops folks becoming this new like resident AI tech implementation experts that you actually made the pitch to your CMO and your CEO at Semrush to leave your 35-person brand team to build a marketing and AI ops team. So maybe we can start by asking you like, what was that triggering factor? Probably a few different things, but maybe chat about like that last touch moment that made you go like, all right, I'm leaving brand, I'm going all in on marketing ops. Chat to us about that.
Yeah. So this was this year. And the absolute trigger was me attending the 2-day weekend course on AI agents. And before I was experimenting, I was working in chatbots a lot, and I was thinking I'm very quite advanced with prompting, and I was very proficient with Claude and projects, and the ChatGPT and Claude, like Perplexity, I was like on all chatbots, and I was not really a fan of Gemini at that point. Now I am, but and then I joined a course and I thought, okay, well, this is some additional information. And then there was an eye opener because now how I differentiate AI, there's consumer AI and those are chatbots, and then they will make your work better because it will work with you and you request something, it does tasks for you, but there's no material shift with
Mm.
chatbots. And then this B2B AI, as I call it, this is agentic AI, and this is how, well, this is what replaces actually jobs and humans. Not yet, but this is what can radically transform and improve systems and at scale. So then I had like a huge reflection moment, and then I instantly went into like this panic mode that we don't have it yet in marketing, and then just we need to roll it out, and then we're already behind. So it was like, and when I think that like we are a very tech savvy company, we have like our tech stack is incredible. You can just come in and then you can play with all sorts of tools. But then it's like my assessment of us being behind is still quite, well, we're like probably in 5% of the companies that are very, very advanced in the tech space. But it's still like we are already like, every company now is behind, I think.
Yeah.
Because the speed of this, I think it's just every 2 months is 10x of what it was
Hmm.
before. So that was like actual moment when I thought, okay, like this is where something needs to change. We are a big company, that means that there needs to be someone with authority and internal authority to make the change, like to make it fast. And so this is where I thought that I could be like, I'm interested in that. I spend all of my weekends playing with AI.
Mm.
And then I'm really good at unlearning things and learning like new stuff. And I have authority and I know how to like navigate within the company. So, and actually, this was a week where I was doing the quarterly business review with the CMO and CEO. So it was, and then I sent them like uh, day before. I sent them an alternative presentation, what I called it, and this is where like, well, agentic AI, radical change. Also, another trigger was the cost of subscriptions for ChatGPT and Claude that I kept seeing across the
Hmm.
company. And I was like, okay, this adoption speed is crazy. And also I was thinking, okay, if we get everybody an account, that becomes like an insane spend. And instead of this, it's better to build systems and just, automation that anybody could use that is built on API, rather than just everyone having an access, which we would control in a bit. So it would be centralized. So I calculated the annual spend. And then I thought, okay, agentic AI is something that we need to enroll in. So those like two and together, and off I went with
Very
pitching.
cool. I want to like unpack that first one a little bit more. Like you mentioned the pace of change and how you thought at some point that like you were experimenting enough and knowledgeable enough to make that leap and make that suggestion to the senior management team. I think like this idea of imposter syndrome for AI is really real. Like I think there's a lot of folks in similar shoes to you where they see this future transition, they want to like take that leap, but they don't feel 100% comfortable yet because they don't know if they're like knowledgeable in AI to like chat about AI ops or go into that stage. Like a lot of folks are just like, the engineering team is going to figure that out. Like the developers are going to like
Yep.
do that. I'm a marketer. I don't know enough about AI, but like you were in the brand team and you were playing around with the tools and you said like learning and experimenting during the weekends. Like what advice do you have for folks that want to take that similar leap or like want to make that similar bet and they're just like unsure if they're like knowledgeable enough about AI?
First of all, anybody who says they have figured AI or they're on top of this, like they are lying to you. I don't know anybody who doesn't have the FOMO.
Yeah, even Sam
And
Altman, like
yeah,
he admits that
I think like
himself.
he has a lot more gray hair than he had like 2 years ago. Like he's just crazy. If you see the interviews, like you can see this guy doesn't sleep well. So um and I like that's what I have every day. But I think the key is the focus. So this is like the main word that you need with AI. Um, because like you need to figure out, like you need to tackle it use case by use case. And just if you go, like it's just very easy to get distracted.
Hmm.
And so take one, well, just what I identify, what I spend most time on. So if we look at this as a Maslow pyramid, like the routine tasks and the repetitive tasks are the baseline. So you just see and analyze what, like, what is the time suck? And that's what you tackle head on and figure out how maybe you build custom GPTs, which are like a lot easier to build, or you build the project in Claude, and then you still have this you start with the like basic stuff. If and that actually also will save a lot of time for the teams. Custom GPT, if there's a repetitive task, if you're, well, if you have like a vague text and then you just need even to structure the text and then you do it every time. And that's where you could just build a very easy custom GPT. If you are localizing text, well, it's not that great yet. You still need the human editor, but you could still say how custom GPT with your instructions, well, and then you just like, translate everything to, well, to like from English to Spanish. And you don't need to do this every time. They can already be the, well, instructions, or even the prompt engineering. You can grade custom GPT on how to create the perfect
Hmm.
prompt, and that would also save you a lot of time typing. So these are the simple things that that you could start with, and that would save you some time, at least like 1 hour a day, and that's already a lot that, well, you could allocate this time somewhere else. So if this is like, well, ground zero knowledge, then it would be just those custom GPTs, or creating projects where the AI would have like a lot of context and it would keep that context and produce texts that are better, or just, yeah, do the repetitive tasks that you have in the instructions. So, and then you already start learning more.
Yeah, I love your approach about taking it use case by use case. A lot of folks like think about too far ahead and they're trying to like run before they can crawl first, and making the use cases a bit more basic to start off with. But I want to chat about use cases because like when you were making this transition, you kind of like shared on LinkedIn part of your slide deck that you actually shared with your CEO and CMO to make that pitch for the new role change. The first use case that you had in that slide deck was all about content. And this idea of building AI agents to help content creation by uploading a bunch of context, like you just said about own content, products, unique selling propositions, competitors, and then giving it instructions maybe through custom GPTs or other ways of just like, um, tone of voice guidelines, templates, best practices. So this idea that you had kind of mapped out in that slide deck still had like a human triggering the
Yeah, for
action or
sure.
or the request, right? A lot of the hype around agentic is fully autonomous agents who operate behind the scenes, do the stuff for you without instructions. So instead of like having a team member ask in that custom GPT, what content should I create next? And then ask it to like help me write this case study, you would log into Slack and you'd have 25 new articles that morning ready to go, ready to review based on events last night, based on NPS scores that came in, potential testimonials, and you just have to like review which ones to like go live or not. Talk to us about that agentic content opportunity and how that's going so far.
So ideally, and in the future, that could run on its own. I still think that it all depends on the quality of the output
Yeah.
that you want. And really, one great thing about AI actually is that you instantly understand what the definition of good enough for any person. So if you see the content and if person published that content, then you kind of assume that the person read this and then thought, okay, this is good enough. So the level of quality that everyone requires is very different. That's why you see like very, very bad content. That's because someone read this and thought, okay, this is good enough. And that's their level. And the higher a level is, then the more human in the loop you want. There's still like a lot of people that already are happy with the AI output. They would just not check it. And that's where I think one very important skill that you need is critical thinking. Because, well, AI is hallucinating. And then, well, the more context you give it, and if you give it the USPs, if you give it the information about you versus the competitors, if you give it the blog post, the knowledge base, like everything about your product, it's a lot of context. The more context you give it, the more it has to hallucinate. So with some small information, well, it could produce something, but if you give that like customer calls, testimonials, and constantly feed it more and more content, then the more checks you need to ensure that's actually right. So I divided this in 2 steps. So what's already built and it's in a testing mode is the quick fix. And that's where people write content themselves, but then they add the add-on that has the guidelines and then has the instructions. And we also analyze the good and bad emails, good and bad landing pages. So it has the comparison and analysis of what good is and what bad is. And bad is based on the sent emails and the conversion rates from those emails. Plus, it's also then like our email team's judgment on like good and bad, especially in the copy. And the landing page is also based on the conversion rates from actual performance. And so that system like works with now like different API keys. Well, like Claude has been like the best that we've tested so far. So you have a document, you enable this add-on, and it scans the text, and it gives you the summary and the verdicts, like needs a lot of work, and then explains why. And in the first iteration, it was rewriting the sentences and suggesting this, but then we figured out that it's only as good as the initial piece because it will not delete the sentence, but like maybe sentence should not be there. So it's like if you give it, it will give you like I hope I can say this in a point.
Yeah.
So it will give you like a bit better version of the same, but not anything that is like radically higher in quality. So that's why it's better to still educate the human. Like this is what's not great, this is what's great, and then have them still think because like AI just like very quickly, as if like well with the Google Maps people don't think where they're going. It's like the same with AI. If AI writes for you, you kind of like stop thinking. That eventually would be like a huge problem, I think. So that's like where we are at this point, where there's an add-on for Google Docs. It's in testing mode, and it will probably release by the end of next week.
Very cool.
And so second is this huge writing automation, and it all starts with a Google form, like not a Google form, but N8N form, where now the enterprise clients of N8N, like as the like most popular, it's not affiliated, like paying a lot for it, but like it's one of the tools that enables like a lot of like it's just a connector. And so it has a form, so people would fill in the form, then it goes and then like searches this big database where we have knowledge base, blog articles, we have USBs, we have transcripts of calls, like well anonymized, but like anything, every wow moments about our product and how like what people like. And also jobs to be done, like a lot of like product marketing stuff. So then it would produce the content, and that's where the tough part is that now I am finding and vetting the content writers who would be overqualified content writers. So I'm looking for heads of marketing, heads of growth, and so I would have them in a Slack channel, and the Slack bot would take that copy that was written with our guidelines, with everything, to that channel, and then someone from those people will take that, and then they will have they will be editing the document, and then they would click finish, and only then the person would receive the document. So because I still think it's good. Like we can constantly tweak it better, and of course the AI system would be training on edits that my editors would be doing, but it's still this is the sea of sameness. And that's where I maybe I want to joke somewhere. Maybe it needs to be less, content dense.
Yeah.
It just people needs to, like, a person needs to judge this and edit this.
Very cool. So there's like two main, I guess, like systems that you have in place. So the first one is a human writing the first draft, and you have this add-on where you're getting feedback on where to improve that writing, and that's AI. And then the second system is kind of flipped. You have AI writing the first draft based on a lot of context and information that you're giving it, and then that's going to a subject matter expert, and that person is tweaking AI's first draft. So as you're like talking about this, like we want to chat about like human in the loop, but like the next version of this, I'm almost seeing like the two systems at some point just removing the human from that loop. Like if you have one system that is coming up with that first draft and it's getting to a point that it's really good, and the other system
Yeah.
is editing that first draft and it's getting really good, like at what point do you think that, we don't need the human in the loop anymore? Like, how do you balance that manual effort currently involved today to train the system and where that's kind of going? Is that where you're kind of thinking?
Yeah, in a year, like in less than a year.
Mm.
But it also just well, AI is sort of like, everyone said that it was like, a great equalizer. It's not an equalizer at all.
Hmm.
Just senior people are using that really like well. Junior people are already falling behind because no one really wants to train the juniors. Like everyone wants
Yeah.
the seniors. This is also like a huge discussion point because I think that we will have a lot of new industries, and that's like I'm talking like I'm taking us off track.
Don't do it.
Yeah. But yeah, there will be huge, like there will be a lot of new industries formed by people who would not be able to find their place like in the current work
Hmm.
universe, because like no one wants to train them. AI does it better. So what they do, like if we have millions of people just like hanging out together, and then think, they have their needs, and this will be a good moment where like a lot of new economies will be formed with like millions of people there. And that's where I would feel left behind again, because with
Hmm.
my like advanced AI knowledge, I would not know anything about what's happening in like in another universe.
So maybe the folks listening right now are just like, I would rather not be one of those humans that needs to like adapt to a whole new workplace and still try to be the person involved in the AI ops, which is kind of why you were talking about that triggering factor and made that transition. Maybe we can chat about like some of the other use cases that you had on your list there. You actually posted in your slide deck, you had a really cool matrix of how to classify AI use cases based on like risk and reward. You had a bunch of different ones in there on top of content creation, like ad campaigns, recruitment pipeline, calls with customers, reporting, a bunch of stuff. So, like, talk to us about what went into that classification system, and has that evolved a little bit since you posted it?
It yeah, so it has not evolved yet because I'm not, well, I like to start with few use cases. But if you start small and then you build something quick, and then you gain trust a lot faster than if you start with something major and then it's still like not done within a few months. So I hired AI workflow architect, and then it was like his first month. We already built like 3 automations within that month. We built one for influencers team where we just we track share of voice from a certain number of influences, and then with LinkedIn is like very, very difficult, and LinkedIn just hates all sort of scraping.
Yeah.
But like with Twitter is way better with this. So we track, we just now automate, like we track mentions from that list of influences, we track mentions of competitors, and then AI just like puts everything in the file, and then it just what we already saved around like 2 hours of one team member's time. Like she was doing this like every month, and that's manual work. And then there's like 40 influences and then 7 competitors. Like that's just like that's the part of the job like she obviously hates, because this is just like copy pasting, calculating the number of mentions, like just not enjoyable. So yeah, it's just that's already done. One other, marketing analytics, which is like also part of ops in like in a lot of companies. This is the like toughest thing to automate, and especially for us, like we're a public company. Like the teams that are not a big fan of me right now, they're like procurement, legal, and security team, because I was just like, I want all the tools, and yeah, it just some use cases just not possible for us. While for scale ups and startups, like startups are just like I would say scale ups are the winners, because they're already big and they have budgets, and then but they're not like they have like their risk tolerance is good. Like
Yeah.
we just we can't put any data like that is this sensitive like an OpenAI or Anthropic. But scale up would have like definitely, just any private company also would have a bit of a different solution to that. Startups, they can be very, very like their risk appetites are really good, and then they don't have a brand they can damage, like it just don't have anything. So they can outreach like anybody. They can just like be very noisy, and then some of it, like if you throw a lot of like against the wall, some of it sticks. Like that's
Yeah.
what like startups and AI situation right now. So, but like my case is that I'm working like for a big public company, and we still want to save our time of analytics team. So we found the solution in the Google Suite. There's a Vertex AI, and that's they're like very complex, not really UI friendly tool where it doesn't gather context, so there's no project, but you can feed the data in and then talk to the data. So it really saves time. Like the estimated time saved is already around 5 hours a week for our head of marketing analytics, which is great. So that was like the second one. So there was like and then the add-on is another one. So within like a month, we already showed that we could do some really fun stuff. So that's where I'm like going more. Like for summer, for example, I plan to work more with digital marketing, and that's like really, really difficult department because there's a lot at stake. Like I cannot build them like automated bidding systems or like $1 million campaign. This would be this. So there, like if you have big budgets, then it becomes a lot more like just a lot riskier. But reward is higher, right? And then, but I chose to start working with routine tasks internally, like reporting. That's also something that like is semi automated, but I already collectively saved around 20-30 hours of team's time per month also on reporting. So it's and now I do this is like 5 hours of my time. Next month it will be 3 hours of my time. But then if you compare this like 30 versus my 3, then it's way better. So that's how I think about this. So this grid might be totally different for a scale up, will be totally different for a startup. So it's like specifically for Semrush. And then I also color coded some. That's what I didn't share, like that something in red, something in green that I could start with. And then hyper personalized content is my dream. It's very difficult to do, but I would imagine that we would be able to send something very hyper personalized the moment someone registers the account with Semrush. So we will send them, like we will pull our API, and then we will give them something very, very unique, tailored to their account, delivered to their email. So that would be like my dream workflow to execute.
This episode is brought to you by Revenue Hero.
2 field forms. Complete context, instant scheduling. Finally, you get to pick all 3 without a single line of code. Introducing native enrichment by Revenue Hero. Plug in Clearbit, Crust Data, Apollo, or stack all 3. Enrich all the data you need instantly on submit. Stack your enrichment providers, waterfall your way to clarity. Determine qualification and meeting routing based on enriched information. Layer it onto your current distribution logic. Book more meetings with your qualified buyers. Get started at revenuehero.io.
This episode is brought to you by MoEngage and their new warehouse native CEP, which revolutionizes the way data should be seamlessly fetched, analyzed, and activated. Now you can use MoEngage Cloud Data Sync to sync your warehouse data with MoEngage and use it to segment audiences or personalize messages without any development. Just set and forget. Use MoEngage warehouse segments to create segments on your warehouse data without moving underlying events, properties, or proprietary segmentation logic, and activate them directly on MoEngage. Using warehouse data analytics, brands can also directly generate insights from their warehouse data. Your long search solution for seamless data sync, smarter segmentation, dynamic personalization, and delightful customer experiences ends here. Warehouse native CEP from MoEngage, making it easy, smart, and secure. Learn more at moengage.com. I love your point about the team that you're not the biggest fan of right now is security and compliance. And you also said that like scale ups have a really cool opportunity right now because they have money, they have a bit of a brand building right now, but they don't have the robust legal thing around them. I would even say like scale ups in non-regulated industries. Like I was at a scale up at my last gig, but we were in health tech and there's a ton of sensitive HIPAA compliant information, PII stuff, and we were a pretty small team and growing, but legal was like involved in everything that we did. Like we couldn't launch a campaign without having legal in the loop. And you know, this is the thing that I keep thinking about with AI moving really fast. So like a lot of teams have procurement in place, and like, you know, the reality for most marketing ops team is that their stack only moves at the speed of procurement, not innovation per se. And a lot of folks see all the cool, shiny things, and then they chat with IT and security and legal, and it's just like, yeah, I've got 17 things on my plate right now. Like, I'm not going to be able to look at this until a year and a half from now, you know? Like, how do you balance the pace of AI and all the cool stuff that's happening right now and the pushback? Not necessarily pushback, but just like the pace of procurement. How do you balance that with the glacial speed of enterprise tooling?
With Google. That's like, well, so we're using like we're G Suite company. So now I prioritize every Google update, like, and every Google tool. So we can put our financial data in Vertex AI. Great. Like, the Gemini deep research is like way better now than OpenAI's research. Like that's what I showed to our like director of social media, and we immediately like one case we would have spent like $5,000 for research like this that we just like did with Gemini deep research. Like so, that's like where my attention is like to anything that Google releases, because I know that legal team would approve it quite likely.
Hmm.
And there's no procurement involved. We already have it. It's included. And yeah, security is also fine, like because it's within the system. So that's what we like pay more attention on. Like Gemini is not the best yet, but I think Google will win the AI war by the end of the year. Because now their latest releases are really, really good. And also their adoption rate would be crazy. Like everyone has the Gmail account, and then a lot of companies use G Suite. So, but they enabled a lot of these features for free for their business users. So they're not doing a good job with education right now. And then also the UI is really, really bad. But that's something that they can fix. But like they're like they have the largest audience they could release stuff to, and that's what also like everyone really, really, truly cares about. They also for like bigger folks, that's like not in my wheelhouse, but if we by buying the Wiz, the security company, I think this was like a really smart move in terms of now with vibe coding, like a lot of stuff that the security online becomes like very, very key. So I believe Google is like very smart in that direction. And then that's where I kind of figured out very quickly the guardrails. And then like Google is approved like almost by default, but it's approved a lot faster. Everything else requires time. So I have like this workaround.
The folks that are listening that are on the Microsoft suite are hoping that Microsoft picks
I
up
think
a little bit here.
but Microsoft that is not releasing the same type of stuff. But I think that a lot of companies they just were in Microsoft, they also like with their legal team like would look at Google stuff like in a way better site than most. But yeah, like everything else requires an approval, and every small tool but also one other thing that I thought of for so I started also with the social media and content workflows, because this is third party data or customer facing data in terms of like content that we would create. So and this is not sensitive, like legal doesn't care about this that as much, because our social media results are available like across a lot of third-party tools, because this is all just open information. So for those and then if you want to scrape something, if you want to to build the automation within social media and something like this, then paying the agency or freelancer to build the full workflow for you and for them to buy those tools would be way easier than owning them yourself. But just writing this like in a good way in the contract that like you own the IP and everything to that. And then if you were to stop working with that freelancer, then you would like buy out the account as well. But yeah, that for the sake of speed, for anything that is non-sensitive, just have this in a contract with the third, like with your vendor.
Very cool. I want to ask you a question about the future of AI agents and orchestration. This is the question I asked a couple of recent guests on the show, and there's different perspectives here, but I feel like there's this like race for AI orchestrationing happening in Martech. Like a lot of Martech vendors, it's already happening today. Most of the tools in your revenue stack are going to have, or if not already, AI agent-like features to them. Marketing ops folks are going to face this challenge of being like someone on the show called it like AI referees in a sense, like making calls on which agents to turn on in which tools and which ones to turn off. And more importantly, how to orchestrate all
Yep.
of this. Like if you're turning it on in your customer engagement platform and in the CDP and you're using iPass, you mentioned NAN to like connect all that stuff. Like, is it going to be use case specific? Like, how do we orchestrate all this? Do you think that like one of the vendors is going to win? Like you mentioned iPass as being the way that you're connecting some of these proprietary tools that you're building. What are your thoughts there on just like what advice do you have for marketing ops folks that are just like in a year from now, everything has an AI agent. Which ones do I turn on? Like, how do I orchestrate this mess?
Depends on also the size of the company and what tech stack you're using, because well, the big SaaS will win here. Like, well, just we're adding a lot of agentic capabilities like inside of Semrush. And well, Salesforce is adding AI agents. Like, well, if you think of like any niche, like, well, sales, marketing, customer success, well, HubSpot are building like sales AI agents, customer success AI agents. So, and I would, if you're already like using HubSpot, then they have the agentic capabilities, then I would not think of like going and testing out like 10 different smaller companies. Just like again, because of procurement, because of all the hoops that you need to jump through. And then ultimately, this is about even technological abilities of the companies to store data and then just to process data and then secure your data. And if you're a larger company, then you tend to stick to like more secure, larger vendors, and then they would still like eventually just catch on and then see what's like working for smaller companies and incorporate that. So I would not go and analyze like 10 different smaller companies. I would just wait, or I just build something custom, or I would look at the existing bigger vendors and then just ask them like, do you have this in a backlog when it's coming? And but if you're unhappy with the current vendor, then it's like it's good time to evaluate and then take this into consideration, like what they have as the upcoming releases of the AI agents.
Yeah, it's good advice. So I'll give you like a practical example maybe, and you can walk me through your thoughts. So let's say I work at a company that has HubSpot, and we have Zapier as our iPass tool, and we've got Webflow as our CMS, and maybe we're using Census and Fivetran as like our customer data composable CDP. And all four of those tools are telling us this is the tool to pick. We have agentic features that allow you to create one-to-one personalized content. They all do it a little bit different based on where they sit in the stack. Zapier says that like we can do it by combining a bunch of different things together. Webflow says we can do it on page for people, personalizing content. Your composable CDP can do it based on first-party data that's in the warehouse. Like all of these tools are saying they're able to do it for a similar use case. How do you decide which ones to turn it on? Like, do you just experiment with the tools that have it already and you pick the one that works best? What are your thoughts there?
I would not trust, like, I would trust neither. Uh, I just, I would build, how you describe this, I would actually just build a custom flow.
Hmm.
And because none of these tools, they're actually specialized like in, it would be like an add-on for them. They all have a lot of integrations. So I would just, I would build something as well in a connector like in it, and where they would just, and then the important thing is like you need to self-host it for security. And but overall, I would not trust any of these.
Very cool. Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that. And I guess like your first answer was also like it depends on the stage of company that you're at. Like if you're a startup and just this question of like
You would not
self-hosting
have all
it.
of this tech stack that you just described.
Right.
So
Yeah.
you just
Definitely not. And if you do, you're in like the free tiers and you have access to like no features,
yeah.
probably
You would
not the
have probably,
agents.
well, you would just have a CRM. So like you would use everything that HubSpot gives you with this, and then you would just be grateful like just for their limits for the AI agent. And then you would like would think it's okay, it's good enough.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, like if for the scale up, then again, like it all depends on the budget and then where it's cheaper. So it's a lot of different factors, and then who actually oversees this as well. And if you have technical capabilities, because like for example, I have now like we've hired a person who would just like fully manage this. If you don't have that person, of course, you'll just buy something off the shelf. And then that's where you just experiment with three. You just go and like read the reviews on G2 and then just make your decision on this.
Yeah, I want to ask you about experimentation a little bit here because like we chat with different people at different spots of the adoption curve. Like still today, surprisingly, there's people that are kind of polar opposites to you and aren't fully awake yet to the reality that in a few years maybe they might not have a job that they currently do today, and they're just now starting to use ChatGPT to summarize meetings, like very
Yep.
basic 101 stuff. And a lot of folks like the advice they give if you're starting or you're very new, just like experiment, just like get accounts and a bunch of different things, play around with stuff, follow a couple of people, read this blog post. But like this idea of making time for experimentation is easier said than done. You called AI and marketing ops the biggest sandbox to play in right now. What makes this the highest leverage plays for marketing leadership today? And like, how do you find time to add new things in that sandbox and keep up with everything that's getting built?
If I have a task, the first question I'm asking myself is like, can I do it with AI? So it's like there's no backlog, there's like nothing. This is just I have this task. How can I make it quicker? And if I don't know how to make it quicker, I would ask. Well, I would research with AI, and I'm not using AI fully for work. I'm using it for everything. I'm using this for a relationship. Like I was walking the dog and I was chatting to Claude, and there's like a huge project. I have Olga's health as my Claude project with all of my DNA analysis, like all of my blood tests and all
Hmm.
that stuff, like all of my uploaded grocery orders. So it's just like but yeah, I was recording. I was like, I told AI, just ask me all of the questions about relationships, about my emotions, and what I care about. And then I was just in audio mode. I was telling this. And then at the end of the chat, I asked the AI to summarize this, and I copy pasted like a huge thing, and I sent to my partner. And so we didn't have this like a ceiling lamp in the kitchen, and I took a photo, asked Claude just to suggest this 5 versions. It suggests 5 versions. Asked them to translate this to Spanish. I then asked open like ChatGPT to search for this in Spanish websites, and then like we bought the ceiling lamp like much faster because it took us like no time to find this. So um, that's how I approach all of the work stuff, all of the personal things, and that just like I'm training myself to think AI first. Like, how can I do it faster? How can AI help me? And that's why it's the biggest sandbox. Like, it's just, for example, if you I don't know, if you have wood and they just need to carve something with wood, like it only works if you have skills for this. But like with AI, if you're an artist, then it's applicable. Like if you're like a marketing ops, you're applicable. If you're a mom, it's applicable. Like it's like infinite use cases, and it all is tailored to you, like to anybody. And that's why it's so great. Like it's universal. And the only limit of this is like what you imagine this to do for you. So yeah, that's like I've not seen anything like this be so like you can chat about AI like with anybody, and then they will have the use case that you never thought of, and then you will have the use case they never thought of, and that's like you're talking about the same thing. It just like it's just a tool.
Yeah, I love your story about chatting with AI over voice while you're walking your dog. I actually started doing that recently. Like I'm still a solopreneur. I got a couple advisors and partners that help me with the podcast, but for the most part, my business partner is Claude, and I take him on walks with me while I'm walking the dog. And recently, we just got into like just hypothetical conversations and thinking like bigger pictures instead of like the local maximum that I'm focused on when I'm just like in the day to day like busy work. And it's just like been eye opening, like almost like a business therapist in a sense. And yeah, to your point, like everyone you talk to that does like the voice stuff, like you discover a new use case for it that you didn't think of before. I love the shopping one, like using both Claude and ChatGPT, because GPT you can still search stuff. Still waiting
Yep.
for that to happen in Claude there. I want to ask you about the dark side of too good AI though. Like we chat about a lot of the positives. We kind of teased out at the start of the conversation like the potential dark sides and job replacement there. But so you've said in like one of the big questions is what happens when AI gets too good and the agents are better, faster, cheaper? Where do people go after that? Like, are we looking at a future where we need to invent new kinds of jobs, simply to keep up, simply to keep people employed? Like, what are your thoughts there? I know you have some things there.
Yeah. Yeah, first of all, like, there will be new industries. People will create them. But I think, and there are some people who like talk about this in a very sophisticated way, like that. If AI is so great that like a lot of people would just not need to work,
Mhm.
and we will just have like um, just people just getting the money but like not working, which I think it just like sounds too too good to be true, or like too
Mhm.
scary for me. But I feel that if people just are not like they don't have like a regular job, everyone loves gaming. And so I really believe this in like in a play to earn industry.
Mm.
Um where it's like very niche now in more Web3, but if a lot of people just go and play more, then the gaming companies would be very happy to adopt this, and then have more people play. Then it means like a lot more advertising money. And yeah, people just enjoy what they would have enjoyed anyway, and then they just earn while playing. So I feel that this would be like the fun, and that's the future that I kind of can envision. Um, and there are just a lot of like to earn stuff, like so it
Yeah.
just and it would be just people looking for those opportunities where with their free time where they could do simple things online, and they also will get probably some money from the government. If AI is so great that it could do stuff for them, then I wouldn't worry about the payments. So
Yeah, we're almost describing. Have you seen the movie Wall-E?
yeah,
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 it's almost like that future of Wall-E where like all humans are just like really bad health, don't move around anymore. They're just like floating around in their chairs on their computers, earning money by playing or just like
yeah,
providing information, filling out surveys and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a fascinating thought exercise. I've actually had this exercise with Claude like a few times about this, and like thinking about other business models that allow you to shift to that like earn model that could be attractive for advertisers. But like one thing I wanted to ask you is like LinkedIn right now is like littered with founders and leaders that are saying things like, AI now, I only have to hire one person instead of 20, or like my goal next year is to build a company that hits $10 billion with only 20 people on staff. You've actually said that in this context, governments might impose quotas on human employees at companies. Do you see this as like a likely regulation or
Yeah,
more of
I,
like a
I see this as like as a guaranteed future, because it would be, well, I thought, well, regulated industries will have this anyway, but it could be, yeah, if you have an audience of 10,000 people, then you're obliged to have like 5 customer success uh, team members. And this is how it could, yeah, they could regulate, and it would have like places for humans there. So yeah, I see this as a very likely scenario, because, well, just like otherwise you can't really, um, well, yeah, regularly like stop the pace of just like a lot of AI companies just going fully zero human.
yeah.
But there was a very funny, I don't know if you've seen, there was a company who had this huge Times Square banner like "Stop hiring humans," and it's just like all about the
Yeah.
sales AI agents. And the founder he posted the LinkedIn post saying that, yeah, we like had huge success this month, and also just our viral campaign, Stop Hiring Humans. What I'm also proud of is that we hired a team of amazing, amazing like, professionals. And then he's like, they're like two contradictory things together. Like that they have like a huge disruptive campaign of like not hiring anybody at the same time. Like the one of the highlights is like him hiring a great human. So uh, I will find this so you
That's
could.
too funny. Yeah, we'll post that in the video version of this. But yeah, it makes me think of like this potential like counterculture that we might encounter where, the companies that might come out of the woodwork are the ones that say like, hey, in the next 5 years, like everyone is not going to be hiring humans. We are not going to be using AI. This is built by humans. We have no chatbots here. Like we're anti-chatbot. We're all humans. We hire humans. We support humans. Like this whole counterculture of like people being mad at a company
Yeah.
because they're using AI to do this, and instead
It's
they're
already happening.
right.
And so there were like 2 memos of
Yeah,
CEOs.
Duolingo,
Yeah,
Shopify.
yeah, and like Shopify was really well received, while Duolingo really wasn't. Like they had like a pushback, and I think it just all depends on the tone,
Mhm.
because, well, I analyzed both, and then it's just Shopify's was more visionary, and then about like growth mindset, and this is how we help you succeed. While Duolingo was more like business oriented, saying like here's our trajectory, and they are just like they outlined the specific cases. They said that they will be hiring, they will be using AI, not hiring contractors anymore. And the fact that they said like we still care about employees and they will be supported, it came like later in the email. And then it's still said like change can be scary. So it had like all like a bit like different tone of voice. And it's not about just, well, AI is here, we help you transform. It's like, well, just Duolingo is going AI first. So it's like two very, very different. It's like the same thing, but first, like Shopify was saying, yes, we're here for you. Like, we want to lift you up.
Mhm.
And then Duolingo was saying, yeah, this is, we can't wait until like it will be 100% great. And then we're just already transitioning. So same thing, different messaging, and like marketing does its own work. So yeah, but like whenever people feel now that okay, this is AI first, they care more about AI than humans. Whenever like there is a sense of that, then it's just immediate pushback.
Mhm. And it makes sense. It's like self-preservation
Yeah,
kicking in there.
yeah,
And then the flip of the coin there are people that are just like, oh, well, instead of complaining about people using AI and potentially losing jobs, I want to work on AI. Like, I want to
yeah,
be the person thinking about that stuff, and that what makes me think about like our ops people, like potential listeners, preparing for the wrong future. Like given what we've chatted about, and potentially in a couple of years we have like quotas on certain number of people being hired. Um, Most ops leaders today are focused still on like learning tools and building integrations and cleaning data. But if like the future that you're describing plays out, should ops be preparing more for things like governance and ethics and workforce design and then just like the technical implementation of tooling and being like the people like implementing AI tools? Like I think there's a whole other layer of that, of like governance and ethics and workforce design that like supersedes the tooling implementation. What do you think there?
I ideally, but no one's like well, ops are ops because they're more they have strategy, but they're tactical. Like they make things happen. So they enable the strategic people and the visionaries to like scale this operations and then make the like world like well actually make things work. So that's where I think now we're at the stage where very little, well, very small amount of companies um, are can say that they are like in a well they're using AI on a really good level. Like there are a lot of like streamlined processes, and this is where like ops need to like help all of the companies step up
Hmm.
and then be very comfortable with AI. Once it's happening, then like it's another step of thinking of ethics and then of just how this is going to play out in the long term, like long term. But now it just well, everyone's in it still. Like most companies are in an infancy stage.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't even think that the AI companies like they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. Like they just I'm not sure. So it's yeah, like if there's a startup that's building AI tools, there might not be AI savvy internally as a team. They are focused a lot more on customers, but they're
Hmm.
not like so I would say that ops like the now what we need to do is that we need to educate everybody and we need to enable everyone like to really be well proficient in AI or how ensuring that we have like automated um workflows.
Yeah, that's such a good point. We had someone from OpenAI in episode 170, and we were trying to like get answers about how they're dog feeding OpenAI at OpenAI, and he works in GTM systems. And he was like, "Man, we've added like 10, like a bunch of people. We 10x like just our team in the last like 3 months. Like I'm focused on like trying to use it as much as possible, but like, dude, we're so busy with this and with that and focusing on customers." So I think that relates to what you just said there. I'm looking at time, Olga, and this has flown by. Honestly, like next level of conversation. Really appreciate your insights and taking the time to chat with us. I got one last question for you. You're obviously a VP of Marketing Ops and AI Ops at Semrush. You're a team leader. You've also been Marketer of the Year, frequent speaker. You're also a dog mom and an avid foodie. One question we ask everyone on the show is, how do you remain happy and successful in your career? And how do you find balance between all the stuff you're working on while staying happy?
I don't have balance. I have priorities, and I believe fully that if you want to have balance, you will be mediocre at everything.
Mm,
So I choose relationship, I choose work, I choose like personal growth and cooking. So those are my how I stay happy is that I stay healthy. And then I have like routines, and I'm a true believer. Like you, ever since pandemic, like I wake up every single day. I wake up almost at the same time. I have 3 sleep trackers. I don't drink caffeine. I drink a lot of water. I don't wear sunglasses. I wear a cap when I walk the dog. I have sunlight in my eyes as soon as possible.
mm,
And this is just like a lot of small health habits I have that compound over time. I take cold shower. So it's like all of the things, and then I cook at home, I eat healthy, and that's like where, like, if my body functions, that makes everything else a lot easier. So I invest a lot of time there, plus only a few priorities. And like everything else is already secondary, and I know that I can't win with everything, but I can win with things that I care about.
Very cool. Love it. Awesome advice. Big fan of routines. Love the sunlight in your face as soon as possible. I love being someone who's mindful about the first thing you do when you wake up isn't like look at your phone and check emails and check texts, like pet your dog or like do something with your partner instead of defaulting to a digital sense of community right away. Olga, it's been super fun. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
The #1 conference for marketing ops and revenue ops professionals is back again this year. Block off your calendars from October 27th to the 29th in Anaheim, California. Grab your tickets at mopsapalooza.com while you enjoy some of the highlights from last year.
This event is legit.
Mopsapalooza is different because it's a practitioner's event.
Everybody learns from each other.
It's not a bunch of sales pitches.
This is the users community.
This year, we had over 300 submissions to speak. The sessions were selected and voted on by every single one of you. Marketing ops isn't just marketing. It's about so much more than that.
It's about getting inspired by each other to drive impactful change.
And when MoPros are fully aligned with broader business goals, we become the true driver of growth.
It is going to be an exciting few years ahead, and I really do believe that marketing ops is going to be at the absolute center of this.
See what's going on in the industry. You want to be on top of your game, this is the conference to come to.
It's the place to be. It's easily the best conference that you're going to go to all year.
Community is completely next level.